So who or what is Amane really? Amane is a character that honestly doesn't do much in the grand scheme of things regarding this plot. I mean, he has moments here or there, but he doesn't really do anything too major, and he's just, roaming the plot, kind of, doing his own thing. Now, the thing is, the moment that Amane seemed kind of off as a character is when he has an interaction with Rachel, and she just kind of blurts out the name Uzume. Now, Uzume, if you guys don't know, is a Japanese goddess of dancing, and she was the one who technically danced Amaterasu outside of a cave known as the Amato Iwato. So, that's as simple as that. But why is Amane specifically called Uzume? Now, most of the Japanese mythology terms in BlazBlue are, kind of used everywhere. You got your first three gods, Amaterasu, Susanoo, and Tsukuyomi, who are clearly our gods. You have Izanagi and, Izanami, and then Izanagi, which is the system of creation, with the Amaterasu's system of creation. And so usually when the Japanese mythology is used in BlazBlue, it's something really important, or such, as Takamaga horror, etc., etc. But Uzume is a weird case because not only that Amane doesn't really run off, the only thing that really ties him back to Uzume is the fact that he dances. But why would Rachel simply just say him by that name? Considering the fact that Rachel even said Uzume in the first place must mean that she knows him. And Rachel really does know the higher echelon of characters in the series. She really does actually know the bigger players in the series. So Amane being known as regularly Uzume is a weird case entirely. Especially down that he's actually the current onlooker of the world, replacing Rachel in Central Fiction. The weird thing about Amane is, who is he? What is he? How does he come to part in all this? There is a case that he has not aged in a long time because due to his astral heat, he is able to basically turn people back into children or younger versions of themselves. It is random how younger they turn, but they are explicitly younger. Or just turn the alternate characters entirely, like someone like Izanami becomes Sayaterami. But Amane, when he uses the astral on himself, he becomes just himself again. He does not physically look like he's any different at all. He looks exactly the same. So why is that? Well, Amane denied at one point that he was immortal, though it could be he's just saying that just to keep people off of him. Amane is actually a lot powerful than he's able to show. I mean, as an onlooker, he's already very powerful enough as it is. And the fact that they're an onlooker is literally just a powerful entity. They're just supposed to watch the events that unfold in the world, but as a cost, they're not able to intervene on the world as a trade-in. And because of that, you're not supposed to, do that. I mean, you're practically a very powerful being, almost borderline a god at that point. And Amane was able to succeed Rachel pretty easily. It didn't require anything major. It didn't require anything crazy. And considering the only other onlookers in the series are Rachel and Clavis, her father, and Clavis was known to be someone incredibly powerful, is it safe to assume that Amane is some kind of being that we just cannot comprehend. He's like some kind of god being or something like that, which I can actually believe. Amane reminds me a lot of Izuna from Guilty Gear 2 Overture. It's just something about those two that feel like, Izuna was explicitly said he was from the backyard, and the backyard is basically essentially the boundary of BlazBlue. And considering that we don't know where Amane came from, we don't know who he is, we don't know where he came from, I've always had this little theory that he actually is from the boundary. He could be just a being from the boundary, and now that he's here, he's going around and looking, just overlooking the world, just seeing how events play out. Because Amane never really throws himself into any kind of conflict. It even showed that all he's just looking for in Chronophantasma was just for Carl. Why is he looking for Carl? Again, there's nothing much to say about that. No one knows why, but he seems to, be adamant on looking for Carl, though in Central Fiction, he kind of drops that entirely. Now, you could say that in Central Chronophantasma that him looking for Carl just could have been an excuse for his character to be, silly. But I don't know about that. It could be that the way Carl has become in Central Fiction, the way he acts now, it could be that Amane was just waiting for something like this to happen, to use him for something. Either that or it's just supposed to be for funny moments, just to have some creepy cross-dressing guy to look for Carl, which that would be funny, but that's not here. That's not the point right now. So ignoring the whole Carl stuff, which I don't know how I could even tie that into Amane being a god. Maybe knowing how Carl becomes someone like Relius, maybe Carl could be used for Amane's plans. Maybe Amane was just waiting for this sort of thing, or something like that. Oh, for all we know, maybe Amane could just see the future, and he's known this was going to happen, which is why he's been looking for Carl. But yeah, that's most of Amane. I mean, the first pass we got back to him is when he was when he joined. When he was hired by Bullet's mercenary squad, and he was hired as an instructor, for Bullet's troop in order to teach them combat moves. But then Amane misinterpreting troop for troop, and it taught them dance styles for basically 3 days and 3 nights. And obviously Bullet got pissed about that. But that's as far as back as we know of his past. If anything, most of his past that we know of, and most of Chronophantasma is kind of irrelevant at this moment, because Amane doesn't really do anything. Most of his bigger actions come in Central Fiction, while Chronophantasma kind of plants the seeds of it with just him being called Uzume and whatnot. And he did seem to be interested in Ragna, because he did make Ragna at one point, and he told him that he had the potential to become the leading man of a play or some sorts like that. And Amane, he's a dancer, he's he's theatrical, he's talking about, oh man, he could be a great dancer, but no, he's really talking about what Ragna was going to do in Central Fiction. So that plans out the way. Funny enough that Amane is the last person Ragna has ever seen, which is crazy. After Ragna went and disappeared, Amane was the very last person he sees. So it's kind of funny that way. But anyway, after Rachel starts losing her power, Amane kind of takes her place as the onlooker, and he starts to drop kind of hints and stuff like that, but it doesn't really lead to anything. The major thing in Central Fiction that he kind of does, first of all, in the arcade mode, he manages to reboot Takamagahara after it was taken over in it was called Continuum Shift, because Terran 9 installed that virus onto it. But Amane was able to reboot it. Why? How is he able to reboot it? We have no idea, and we don't know if it's going to it didn't translate over to the story mode, so yeah, they didn't really transfer it over to the story mode about him rebooting Takamagahara, but it could come to play later. I mean, he's able to do such a thing. I kind of really don't underestimate the guy. I mean, Takamagahara was treated as some kind of god computer-esque thing. So the fact that Amane could just reboot it by himself must mean he's completely we don't know, and Amane being this little wild card figure that we don't know little about, but yet seems like this godlike figure could lead into something interesting. It's honestly crazy. He knows things are going on. His memories were he was one of the few characters that remained unaffected when everybody was absorbed into the Embryo. And he even warned Rachel that she was kept intervening with the world, but he did say he actually gave her his blessing to continue on her way, because he says that everyone is an actor once on the stage. And Amane's talking about how all these these stage plays, the stage itself is just the world of BlazBlue. Everyone, the actors, the characters are the actors are the characters playing out the events of the world. And then even later after that, he was able to use Rachel's teleportation, because he was able just to see it once and do it again. And he went to Ragna and taught him about, he was going to observe him. He was going to basically just observe him to halt back the Black Beast's progression. And even though Amane was kind of turned down, Amane stuck around to listen to Ragna's possibility. He's like, okay, Ragna said he's going to take the dreams of the entitled. And Amane's like, okay, all I'm going to do is just sit there and watch. I mean, I can't intervene because I am the onlooker. I'm the current onlooker of the world. I can't do anything. And so I can't really, say anything. I mean, Amane even goes on to talk to Valkenheim about, since Valkenheim exists outside of logic, he can't kill him because I mean, he can't kill an onlooker because being outside of logic prevents him to do so, and that means he can't change the world. And he just appears here, and he just appears here and there, just talking about, your dance was majestic. All this stuff was, was great. Everybody's doing great. But yeah, Amane is a weird character, honestly. I mean, he can resist Rachel's slave red spell, which apparently is able to enforce, if basically it's mind control. Really, it's technically mind control in a way. And Rachel tried to use it on Amane to try to get information about his identity, but he just shrugged it off. And considering how powerful Rachel was at that point, considering she was the current onlooker, and Rachel was essentially some kind of godlike figure. She's not godlike, but she might as well be up there, like really powerful. Because the fact that Amane resisted something like that was pretty easy, and he was able just to see teleport once and just do it again, like just do it once. After you saw it, it's like, well, I could do that. Let me just see. But yeah, that's all I can really say about Amane. We have no freaking idea what he's up to. I don't know. But he himself denied that he was immortal. He's able to fight back the members of the 6 heroes. Like freaking, he was able to like fight back Valkyrie with no problem. He was able to fight back Azrael with no problem. And Azrael himself is just like the Kenpachi Zaraki of BlazBlue. You can never tell how strong the guy really is, like in total. So Amane is just this weird being that no one can comprehend, and I'm excited to see what they're going to do with him in the later series. Hopefully, if they do something with him.